Right, here we have the school kiln. On the wall, the main isolator switch. This is the bung that goes in the door. Alright, this is a safety switch that has to be released and handle to undo the door. Alright, and this is your thermometer that's not on at the moment, called the pyrometer, and it measures out of the stick that comes through the top here. The controller switch for the temperature is at the back here. Other equipment are your props to go between the shelves, your temperature cones, and each cone has got a reading on it. This is an 08 cone, and you can read off the sheet of paper what temperature that bends over, and these are your kiln shelves sitting on the floor. Right, when packing the kiln you use 3 sets of props. If you use 4 on each corner you can often get a wobble, so 3 is quite adequate. Here's your collection of props here. Now I tend to collect them up into the height that I'll need. So your kiln shelves, you've got one kiln shelf in there, you've got more shelves down on the floor here, so we can then put a shelf in. And then put your work in, sort the work out so it's all much the same height. Obviously if there was more work we could pack more in there. And then you must always have your props over the props underneath, not to have any cantilevering going on. Right, and then put on the next shelf. Now if it was glaze firing we'd put in a cone, so I've got a cone ready here. It's in a little lump of clay that should be got hard first. So that then goes there, and I checked beforehand that it would be about the right height for the people. There we go, so a little bit to the left, allowing for the cone to curl over at the correct temperature. We can check again. There's the cone visible through the spy hole. Right, the kiln is now ready to be started. Close up the kiln. Tighten that up. The safety contactor, switch on the wall, and there we have the readout. If this isn't contacted properly you can see the power goes off. Now before we can switch the kiln on we've got to press the start button here, and this little light comes on. Once that's on we can then turn it on at the back, and that goes, is the kiln coming on, up to 2. And away we go. Right, so it's the next morning around 8 o'clock. We have a look. Temperature's just over 500 degrees. The bung was out, so we need to put the bung back in. And it's been on 2 overnight, so now we must turn it to full. There it is. Up to full. And we now just leave it. Come back about midday and hopefully it'll be 900 degrees. Right, 1000 degrees, 1 o'clock, so we've got it done well. It's time now ready to switch off. Lovely cherry red colour inside. Firstly we switch off at the back switch, and then switch off the main isolator switch. And we can leave it to cool. You can see the temperature gauge goes out when the isolator switch goes off. So So if you want to check the temperature any time, then you need to switch the isolator switch on, and then you get the temperature, and you can already see it's dropping quite quickly. It'll take about 24 hours to totally cool. Cools very quickly. The last 200-300 degrees takes a long time. The bung stays in for the last 200 degrees. You can possibly take the bung out. Right, it's 24 hours later. The bung was taken out when it was about 200 degrees, so now we just check the temperature, switch on there, and it's below 100 degrees, so we can open it, switch off again, open the safety lock, and go, and swing open the door, and there we are. Some lovely little terracotta pieces. Right, you can see how we piled the work up. For a biscuit, that's perfectly alright. With a glaze firing, you can't do that.